Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian. This is Girlhood to Womanhood, where we talk all things growing up as a woman, from the challenges to the triumphs and everything in between, all the lessons that we learned in this beautiful journey of self-discovery. So today we're talking about traveling solo outside the country. I did not move outside the country, but I did travel outside the country, and it was so much fun. It was kind of everything I thought it would be because I like spending time by myself anyway. But we're gonna dive into 3 things that I learned from my trip, and then 3 tips that helped me feel comfortable and that I would recommend that you consider if you're deciding to do the same thing. Now, a little bit about where I went. Not that it really matters. I went to Toronto, Canada. I live in the United States, so that was outside of the country for me. I've always wanted to see Niagara Falls, and I was like, I'm doing it. So I did it. So let's hop in. So let's start off with the top 3 things that I learned from traveling out of the country solo. The first is that you gain so much confidence. Now, I do a lot of things by myself anyway, and I've traveled for work by myself as well, so traveling by myself is not new to me. Traveling outside of the country is also not new to me. Traveling outside the country by myself, this was the first time. So yes, you gain confidence, and it was like, okay, I can navigate this area by myself. Walking around, paying attention, things just jump out at you a little bit more. To me, I feel like I was a lot more observant. As I was walking around, I was like paying attention to buildings and street names and restaurants and people, because if you're giving me a weird vibe, stand away from you. It was kind of confirmation that yes, you should travel more by yourself. Yes, you should travel outside the country by yourself. And because Toronto, Canada is not far from the United States, I mean, we're right next to each other, it felt safe enough to be like, okay, I'm not crazy far, but also gave me the confidence to say like I could go crazy far and it wouldn't be maybe as like nerve-wracking as I thought previously. So number 2, you actually get to explore and learn what you like to do. And it kind of solidifies what you like to do because it gives you an opportunity to do research on places that you want to visit, excursions that you want to go on, experiences that you want to do. It forces you to figure out like what kind of restaurants do I like. Now, granted, a lot of this I kind of already knew, but it was like on another level. And I don't know if it's because it was in another country or just because it's my first time solo traveling and exploring in a long time, but it was like, okay, what does Darian want to do? And I just got to do that. So I ended up going to a museum. It was beautiful. I went to Niagara Falls and that was so much fun. I did like an all-day experience through Airbnb. Picked me up from my hotel. They drove us out there. We did a couple of different experiences while we were out there. And then we came back. We ended up having lunch out there too. And that was cool. And then there were people there that were also doing the experience by themselves. So it was kind of nice to see that other people were doing the same thing or doing it the same way that I was. I went to an R&B live music event later that night that was at one of the colleges in Toronto, and that was very cool. I tried some new restaurants, and it was totally curated to things that I would like to do. And I think that speaks volumes to learning who you are and just exploring with yourself and learning how to feel very comfortable with yourself because you're all you got out there. To some, it might sound nerve-wracking, but it feels really good. The third thing is you feel very accomplished. You did a big thing. 1, traveling by yourself is a big deal. Traveling outside the country is a big deal. Traveling by yourself outside the country, just for pleasure, not for work, not because you have to, but just because you want to. You took the time to plan the trip, to do things on your own. That's a big deal. And I think it shows a lot of it shows the investment that you have in yourself and exploring yourself. It shows that you love yourself or you're working on loving yourself and that you want to learn more about yourself. I read this comment on TikTok, on a TikTok video, and this girl was like, when I became obsessed with myself, my life got infinitely better. And I believe that because who's gonna love you better than you love you? You know, if you don't love yourself, you don't invest in yourself, if you don't take time to learn yourself and cherish yourself and treat yourself, you can't really expect other people to do that. And or you're probably not going to receive it the way that you otherwise could if you were already showing yourself those things. So that sense of accomplishment, that sense of desire to learn more about yourself and treat yourself and take care of yourself you feel all of those feelings while you're doing this. And so that was really nice. Okay, now the top 3 things that help me feel comfortable traveling alone. Even though there are all these great things that I just mentioned about traveling by yourself, as a woman traveling alone, you do have to take precautions. You do have to make sure you're keeping yourself safe, because although we love doing things and even though we shouldn't have to worry about certain things, people are crazy. So here are the things that help me feel safe. 1, anybody that I came across did not know I was traveling alone. I might be alone right now. I may be the only person you're seeing in my party of 1, but I always told someone I was about to meet somebody, or I just came from meeting with someone and we're gonna meet later. Oh yeah, she's on her way. Like, people need to think that someone's looking for you, that someone will look for you if you go missing. Doesn't mean one way or the other that anything is guaranteed, but I like for people to know that if you try to snatch me up, that someone's looking for me. And so that just made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I also recommend that you pick a story and stick to it. My story was that I was in town visiting my cousin, and every time someone would be like, oh, are you by yourself? Or like, are you new here? Or do you live here? Or whatever. I'd be like, oh no, I'm in town visiting my cousin. She's actually gonna meet me after this. She didn't wanna do this because she did this experience already. Or she already had a dinner date planned, and so we're gonna meet after that. Whatever it is, pick a story, stick to it, and that will also help you feel comfortable. Next is splurge on a safe hotel. And by safe, I mean well-traveled. Okay, I stayed at the Delta Hotel, downtown Toronto. It's right next to the CN Tower. A lot of walking traffic, very well-traveled, and I felt very safe there. I felt comfortable walking around early in the morning. I felt comfortable walking around late at night. Not that I was walking around aimlessly late at night, but when I came back from one of the events that I went to, it was like 10 or 11 o'clock, and I felt comfortable like getting out of my Uber and walking into the hotel. I didn't feel like I needed to run in there or, anything like that. I know it can be more expensive to travel by yourself because you're not able to split the cost of anything, but another option for that is to use credit card points if you have them. Look for a good deal, but don't let the deal interfere with your ability to feel safe while you're there. So if you gotta spend an extra $50, $75 a night on a place, I know it's a little bit more expensive. I know that it's not fun, but trust me, your safety is worth it, and just your peace of mind will be worth it. Lastly, share your location with someone you trust. I have already shared my location with my younger sister and a couple of my really good friends. So I just told them like, hey, I'm gonna be in Toronto for a couple of days. Just check in on my location every now and again. And what that does, one, is they know that like if you're supposed to be in Toronto and you're still in Toronto, like, okay, this makes sense. If you end up in Quebec for some reason, or I don't know, Washington, DC or Mexico, like something is wrong. Actually, one of my friends was like, yeah, I was checking up on you every now and again, and I saw like, oh, she's at Niagara Falls, or like, oh, she's at her hotel. And so, share your location with people that are actually gonna check in on you. Okay, that's the end of the video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you've been thinking about traveling solo, if you've never traveled by yourself before, this is your sign to try it, even if it's just to another city in your state. If you traveled within your state but you haven't traveled outside of your state, this is your sign to do that. This is your sign to take it to the next step, travel outside your state. And if you've traveled outside your state but you stayed inside your country, this is your sign to travel outside your country. And if you're gonna do that, let me know where you're gonna travel. Leave a comment down below. Hopefully this was helpful for some of y'all that maybe have been on the edge, on the line, on the fence. That's what I was thinking of. Some of you guys have maybe been on the fence of traveling solo somewhere. You should do it. This is your confirmation. Book the flight, book the hotel, go. Do it. I believe in you. Again, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this if you thought it was helpful. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.